So hey everybody, it's Miss Darling in the studio, and I'm really excited about what we're going to do today because we're going to be playing with playing cards, and not just any playing cards, jumbo playing cards. And so I have a set of these, and I pulled out 4 already, which I have decorated, and so let me show you those. Here are number 3 is my favorite number. It's also my daughter's favorite number. So I pulled out a red 3 and a black 3 to start with, and I decorated the back. And here's how I did it. And so I'm going to be decorating today's, what I do on camera. I'm going to be trying my best to do things that can work as companions. I believe very strongly in companions, especially when you use them in a journal, because it adds unity to the overall journal. And so you can see they're very similar, yet quite different. So then I had also picked out a couple of queens, because I mostly, when I put people in my videos, they're mostly women, and vintage women is what I like the best. So of course I'm going to go for my queens right off the bat. And so here's what I did with them, and you can see that they are really nice companion pieces. They're similar yet different, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. So these are some of my inspiration. I'm really happy with how these turned out, and so we're going to do more of the same. So for the video, I purposely pulled out a red and a black ace. And so we got the ace of clubs and the ace of diamonds. And then I thought, well, let's go for the kings. And so we have the king of hearts and the king of spades. So the reason I'm decorating the back is because I don't like the back, and I'd like to leave these show as much as possible, although I know that some people who have decorated playing cards, redo this side, or the decoration that they choose to do is they put the K and the symbol on the side that they're decorating, and I'm choosing not to do that. I want to use these in probably more than one journal. I'm going to be decorating mostly in colors that I use often, and so that I'll find it easier down the road to fit them in somewhere, and where they will feel comfortable color-wise. But at the same time, I'm looking at the color scheme of the card itself, and of course they both have black in them, they both have red in them, and they have yellow. So they're very primary in how they're presented. But I'm not necessarily going to, go with primary colors. As you can see here, I did not do that. And yet, if you, turn them over, I think you can see that they still go nicely together. And so if I turn that one over, you can see they still go nicely together. And the same is true of the number 3s. So if I turn that over, here's what we would have, and if I turn this one over, that's what we would have. And so anyway, this is just a personal preference of mine. You don't have to do this. You can, you can decorate this side if you want to, and or you can do both sides if you want to. It's completely up to you. So, but for the purpose of this video, I'm only going to be decorating the reverse side. So let me show you. I have enjoyed working with some of my fabric scraps on these. In this version, I used coffee dyed paper that I have in my stash. I used coffee dyed lace, and then I put this beautiful, this is one of my favorite floral artists, and so I had these two prints of his that about the same size, and the color palette is very similar, and so that's what I did there. But you see, my backgrounds are all fabric, and in this one, most of the background is fabric. Like this is fabric, and this is fabric, and the foreground is also an image of butterflies in this case, and a just another kind of design in that case. These were from a video I did quite some while ago where I was printing on fabric, and so whenever you print on fabric, it kind of comes out a little more subdued, and so that set me up nicely to put a brighter focal point on. So we have 3 fabrics, and then this back here is paper as well as this. And you see, I used the exact same fabrics from one to the other, and I simply changed the top fabric and the focal points and the little definitions there. So that's how they can easily be companions in a journal. So since I used a lot of fabric on those 2 sets, I'm going to stay with that, because I have a lot of fabrics here that I've collected and haven't used, and don't have any real purpose for some of them because of the nature of the fabric. So let's first remove everything else. If I get to a second pair in this video, great, and if not, I'll do that another time. But anyway, I want to do these, and so I've got the red fabric over here with the red card, and the black fabric over here with the black card. And I may decide to, I might decide, for instance, to take one of the reds and put it over here, and one of the blacks over here. And that's kind of a nice idea. In fact, I think maybe I'll do that, because you can overdo a good thing. Now, one of the rules that I go by, or try to go by, when I'm working with designs on whether it's fabric or paper, it doesn't matter, but I try not to use more than 3 patterns in a single thing. That's kind of a rule that we also used in interior design when I worked in that industry. No more than 3 patterns in the same room, and what you try to do is vary the sizes of the patterns, and so everything doesn't wind up looking too matchy-matchy. And so here I have a small floral print. We have a rather substantial star pattern going on here, and then we have polka dots here. And over here we have the same thing, sort of a country print here, small stars in that one there, and then checkerboard here. And so you see, I have a variety in the patterns, but there's no more than 3 there. Now, maybe I'll need to bring some paper in. For instance, is it this one? No. I guess I only had 2 fabrics there, and then I went to paper for the other side. But we don't have to follow exactly what's been done in the past. In fact, it's more fun to do something different. So I'm kind of liking, but maybe let's switch these. Yeah. And I think maybe I like this, where my dominant, or say I have 2 patterns in black to go with the red card and a red pattern, and over here I have 2 patterns in red and then the black ace card and a single red black pattern here. I think I like that mixture the best. So let's just start with one and see where it takes us, and hopefully we'll be real happy. So I'm going to be decorating this side, and so I think I'm going to take my lightest pattern and use the lightest pattern perhaps all over the card. Let's see. Okay, if I ran it over the whole card, then I could take smaller bits of these larger, bolder fabrics to use elsewhere. So I think I like that idea, and so I think the easiest way to do this is to just go ahead and put some of my Fabrifix, which is 4 fabrics, gluing fabrics to anything and everything under the sun. And I'm just going to put glue over the whole card, because I'm going to exceed the dimensions of the card when I put the fabric down. Well, that almost completely got rid of that ugly pattern on the card. And so now I'm going to tear off just below . Maybe not the best way to go about doing it. I think, best tear your fabric first. And I bent my card a little bit doing it this way. So, live and learn. It also did not tear right straight across like I was hoping it would do. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Got a little bend there in the card. But anyway, it's essentially covered. And if you've been with me for any length of time, you know I really love ragged ends. And so we'll pull those off. And because I'm so low, I didn't quite get everything, I'm going to, oh, well, this is the top anyway. So here's my top. And you do want to be double checking to make sure you're not, you don't have your card upside down when you're decorating the back. Always know which side is up. Okay, so I think This one I think is the stronger of the two. I don't know, they're pretty well matched. But what if I swapped one of them out? They're maybe a little too close in size. So maybe I'll swap that out for this. And I'm just going to, I've got a fold here, so maybe I'll work with that. And you know, maybe just come down, you know, about that far, and tear it over to the fold. Yeah, it's much better to do your tearing before you glue it to the card. Okay, so I'm going to pull off any loose threads, and I want to fray this one up here a little more. I get some of that. Okay. So now this is going to go up here, and then we'll have the stronger pattern on the bottom, which will give us nice visual support. And I'm going to tear this just a little beyond the fold there, so I can get it right about the length I want. And since I'm recovering the bottom, that's going to hide the fact that the red fabric didn't quite come down. And completely cover the card, because our black fabric is going to do that for us. Okay, so that's going to drop in there, right? And then we'll figure out what we're going to do on the top for a focal point. I didn't go ahead and find something, but I do recommend always, as much as possible, that you find everything you're going to need first before you go ahead, because then you'll know right off the bat that it's going to work the way you envision it, instead of, you know, what I'm doing here is I'm just, you know, throwing a background down and hoping I can come up with some great ideas to go on top, and hope I don't get stuck not being able to finish the card because I can't find anything I'm happy with. But anyway, I'm sure we'll be able to find something. Of course, whenever you use a dark background, you start to whittle down your choices, because you need to have something that's going to stand out against the background. And when your background is dark, that's harder than you might think to find. But I was letting the color palette of the front of the card guide me in my choices. So I think I'm going to use this one up here. I don't have really much fraying going along there, and there's none over here, which I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can get something started or not. This may be the, the edge of the, oh, there I got a little something. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I really prefer frayed edges over straight cuts. But it's up to you what you like. So that's going to drop in there. How are y'all doing? I hope you're well and prosperous, especially in this very difficult time. As I'm filming this, they're reporting that hospitalizations have gone up again, and so it's just really disheartening. Okay, I'm going to put the less frayed edge up here because I'm anticipating a lot of that will be covered over anyway, and that way I have maximum fraying on the outer edges. Okay, so now I wonder if I should no. I'm going to pause the video. I'm almost out of the first 25 minutes anyway, so I'm going to pause the video while I hunt for what I might like to use on top, and then I'll be back. Okay, I have a bunch of these beautiful little cards. I don't recall where I got them from, probably from a book somewhere along the line. Anyway, I fussy cut them all out, leaving them as cards instead of cutting into and around the floral. And I picked out this one, which I'm going to use, and I glued it to a black cardstock piece, and now I'm covering that with some lace, and it's going to go in here sort of like that. So I thought, well, I should probably turn the camera back on, and so you can see that what I'm doing here. I want to have that solid black in there as a way to set the card off, but I want to knock it back a bit, so I'm covering it over with the lace. So what great movies have you seen lately that you could recommend to me? I love watching movies or really good TV series, but it's so difficult to find anything decent, and I'm struggling. I really loved watching The Crown. I loved watching Downton Abbey. I love I loved Yellowstone. Yeah, I think it's Kevin Costner's Yellowstone. I had to pay to be able to watch that, but it was worth it. My husband and I both enjoyed it, and I find myself going back and re-watching some of those because I'm struggling to find something else decent to watch where the acting is good and the story is intriguing and music and all that is just really, really hard to find. I think something worth watching. Alright, now this is going to go like that at an angle, and I want this to go at the same angle. So we'll kind of just drop that in like that. And then I'm continuing to use the Fabrifix because it works so well against fabric. So even though this is cardstock on the back, I'm still going to use the Fabrifix glue. Do you have a favorite glue that you love, that you would recommend, whether it's for paper or fabric? I would love to know if you're using something different and think it's awesome. Okay. Now I have wound up with more space over here than over here, and that creates a bit of an imbalance, so I'm going to look for something else that I can put over on this side to bring us back into balance. Maybe I have a little piece of fabric, I don't know. I have some lace that has some, sequins and stuff on it I thought about using, but well, at the time it appeared that the rest of everything was too casual to put something a little more formal on, but I'm not feeling that way right now. Maybe I think that might do us. Just a little bit there to bring the eye over onto the left side here so that we're not tilting to the right. Yeah. I'm liking that. I don't know whether I've got myself too wide though. I wonder if it wouldn't be better if it wasn't that wide. Yeah, I do think I'm going to need to trim this down. It's starting to look a little too boxy for me, and which is unfortunate because cutting it down means I'm going to lose the fraying that I like so much, but I'd rather it look better overall than to have a little component not be quite what I like. I think I should have used my bigger scissors. And I got a little too many shortcuts in there. Yeah, I'm going to like that. You know, if you mess with a proportion that is already perfect, you may find that it just isn't as pleasing as you thought it would be. And all that's happened is that you've messed with the proportions. Yeah, I'm liking that better. So I'm able to keep the fraying at the top and bottom. And I think if I pull on this, I might be able to get a little fraying back. But I would rather overcut something and then have to trim it back than to wind up having it be too short. Well, I guess I won't mess with it anymore. You get the idea. So I've got some ends here that need to be removed, and I'm gonna make sure I have everything glued down where I want. And also by cutting it back to the proportion of the card itself, it allowed this underlace here to literally go almost completely from edge to edge. And so that looks nicer too. So, yeah, I'm happy with that, and I will proceed to take a look at how I can make the second card a nice companion to this. I have an image for that, and so I'm going to do the same thing as far as this one goes, in that I'm going to use the softer fabric. By that I mean softer in tone. You know, it just looks more pastel. And then I'm going to use this down the side, but I'm going to flip it to this side. Here the stars went on the right side, so here I'm going to put the checkerboard on the left side, and then my stronger red stars at the bottom. And then we'll put this on a black card as well and cover it with lace and put some more of this down behind. So all of that's going to be quite similar, and but our focal points will be different, and of course we'll have more red on this one and more black on this one, and to go with the black card, and then the strong more red on this side to go with the red card. Okay, so I won't take up your time doing that on camera. I'll just gonna close it off now, start the video, and then I'll show you. I'll come back when it's all done so you can see how they wound up. So see you in a minute. Okay, so I've gotten this far, and you can see how it's very similar. I'm working with opposites, and okay, so now we're going to attach this to a piece of black cardstock, and it won't take long from this point to get this finished up. So we're looking for about 1/4 of an inch border all the way around. And so I have another piece of this that will go at this angle. We'll cut off this bottom part. I think I'll leave a little of that show this time around. I'm talking about this edge here. So that one's going that way, and so we want to think about going this way. And now I need to cover over the ends with this lace. See how that just softened that up so that you're not having this kind of more glaring straight black trying to dominate in the space. And always be mindful of where I'm hitting in the frame so you can actually see what I'm doing. You have to decide in advance which part of the lace is going to be your outside, and I chose this side of the lace rather than the other because it has a little more of a straight line going across there, and I thought that would make the perfect outside border. It's always preferable to have a nice grouping of products that on hand that you can choose from. It's very hard to design something without the proper tools and without the proper supplies. Obviously that does mean a financial commitment, which you may or may not be willing to invest, but you know, I'm just saying it's hard to do something like this without having plenty of things that you can you know, look through and audition for the various. So you can see I was up too high with my lace. I have to come back down and maybe adjust my angle a little bit. It's real important to have the angle of the lace exactly the same as the angle of the card, otherwise it's not going to feel good. So I think if I move that the card over a little bit to the left like that and deliberately create more space over here, then it's appropriate for me to put something like that on this end to bring it all back into balance. I'm going to get some glue stuck down there right away so that I don't accidentally start going at a different angle. Okay, and so then this is going to be offset just a bit. Actually, I want to go the other way. Yes, I want to go down this way, closer to this edge, and then open up space over here. Okay. Trying to get placement as close to identical as I can. Can't always do that, but definitely worth trying. I don't want to lose my placement. All right, so far so good. And now I just need, I am winding up with this on the left, but that's just kind of the way it went. I'm okay with that because I'm heavy on the right in terms of my flower here. I think if it had gone the other way, it wouldn't have worked too well. So this flower is going this way and this one is going that way. So I just need to find something like that. It doesn't have to be very big, or it could be bigger. I mean, you know, we're not looking for an exact match, just the same flavor. So now no longer comparing, let's just take a look at how we like this in and by itself. And since that's already, you know, cut in that shape, I'm going to leave it and call it done. And go around and make sure that all your little bits and pieces have enough glue on them to hold them down. You don't want them accidentally being pulled up and harming the overall card. Okay, there you have it. So, thanks for staying with me. I hope you like how these turned out, and I think they make really great companions, very different from each other and yet very similar, and the color palette is the same. So if you have that, and you have that. Now, how would you use these? Well, you could glue, well, you would want both sides to show, so it's not something you would glue down, but you might paper clip it to a page in a journal. Or what I plan to do is possibly use them as a flip out and take and run a piece of fabric down one side and then glue the other side to the outer part of a journal, so that let's say this was the page, and you know, just glue it down on a piece of fabric that acts as a hinge, and then you can just flip it open like that, and you've got the other side showing. And you may want to, you know, glue it down like this, so when you flip it over you have this really nice surprise on the other side. So that's how I plan to use these, is with the help of, you know, fabric to turn them into a hinged fold out in a journal down the road. So that said, thanks for being with me, and give the video a like and share it, and leave me a comment if you enjoyed it and like this content, and I hope you're a subscriber. If not, do subscribe and become part of this little artistic community, and I would appreciate it. Thanks so much. This is Miss Darling calling this a wrap. Bye-bye.